Today, we'll dive into the top 5 best openings for Black in 2024. Starting at number 5, we have the Englund Gambit, which boasts an impressive 54% win rate for Black. The Englund Gambit is an exciting choice to counter 1, d4, and if White isn't familiar with the nuances, they can quickly find themselves in trouble. Black plays d6, striking back at the center and setting up a potential gambit. White capture the pawn on d6. Here, Black may develop the knight to e7, laying a trap for White. However, this kind of trap can be fairly obvious. If White greedily captures on e7, Black sacrifices the bishop with bxf2, forcing White to take with kxf2. Black then captures the queen on d1, securing an overwhelming material advantage and a straightforward path to victory. A subtler approach for Black is to develop the bishop to g4. If White continues their material greed by taking the pawn on c7, Black responds with bxf2, forcing kxf2 and exposing White's king. Black then captures the queen on d1, once again achieving a decisive advantage with superior material and a compromised enemy king. Next, ranked 4th among the top 5 opening strategies for Black, we have the Traxler Counter Attack. This aggressive line boasts an impressive 57% win rate for Black. After both sides develop their pieces, Black plays nf6, striking at the central pawn on e4. White responds with ng5, coordinating with the bishop to target the vulnerable f7 square. Typically, Black defends by playing d5. After White captures on d5, attacking the knight, Black retreats with na5, targeting the bishop on c4. White often checks with bxf7+, prompting Black to counter with siquays, maintaining balance. If White pawn takes, Black recaptures, continuing to chase the bishop. Should White play qf3, pinning the 6th pawn, Black develops with b7, entering a position where White may have a pawn advantage, but Black enjoys active play. Returning to the game, Black chooses a daring alternative, sacrificing a pawn with bc5 to create counterplay. When White greedily captures on f7 with the knight, attacking both the queen and rook, Black boldly sacrifices the bishop on f2 with check. White is forced to capture with the king, allowing Black to recapture on e7 and deliver a check. Here, if White moves the king to e3, Black strikes with qh4, threatening to follow with qf4+ and a decisive nb4 attack. If White defends with qf3, Black calmly retreats the knight to f6, preparing qd4+, while also targeting the bishop on c4. Should White push d3 to defend the bishop and create an escape route, Black plays nd4, launching an attack on the queen while setting a subtle trap. If White responds with g3 to drive the Black queen away, Black counters with ng4+, forcing White's king to e4. Here, Black delivers d5+, and should White capture on d5 with the bishop, Black retreats the queen to h5, maintaining pressure. If White defends passively with qf1, Black plays qf5+, trading queens and checkmate. In the actual game, White retreated the king to f1. Black seized the initiative with qh4, threatening mate on f2. When White played fury to hold the position, Black retreated with qf2+, driving White's king to g2. Black swiftly followed with qf2+, forcing White's king to h3. Then, Black played d5, opening the diagonal for the bishop on c8 to join the attack. When White pushed g4 to shield the king, Black continued with h5, quietly setting a trap. Should White play rg1 to reinforce the g4 pawn, Black will capture the pawn on g5, delivering a devastating double check and mate. Alternatively, if White captures the rook on h8 to eliminate a threat, Black calmly retreats the knight to g5, delivering a checkmate. Ranked 3rd in the list of the top 5 strongest openings for Black in 2024 is the Charlick Gambit, a response to 1 d4 with an impressive 60% win rate for Black. This opening begins with Black capturing on d6 with the bishop. White counters by developing the knight to f3, and Black brings out the knight to f6. White continues to develop with nc, exerting control over the center. Black then places the bishop on g4, targeting the knight on f3 and applying pressure. White pushes e3 to free the light-squared bishop, but black raises the queen to e7, directing attention toward white's king. White places the bishop on e2, solidifying the center and blocking black's direct threats. Black castles kingside, quickly activating the rook along the open d-file, and white follows suit, castling to secure the king. At this point, black seizes on white's slight carelessness by trading the bishop for the knight on f3, prompting white to recapture with the bishop. Seizing the initiative, black sacrifices the bishop with bfh2+, delivering a check while simultaneously attacking the queen. With no other option, white captures the bishop with the king on h2, only for black to coolly capture the rook on d1. This decisive material gain leaves black with a commanding position and a clear path to victory. The second strongest opening for black in 2024 is the Rousseau Gambit, specifically designed to counter the Italian game. This opening boasts a 61% win rate for black. The game begins with white capture the pawn to f4. In response, black pushes the pawn to f, exerting pressure on the knight. White exchanges the bishop for the knight on g8, preventing black from castling on the king's side. Black recaptured the bishop to g8, forcing white to retreat the knight to g1 to avoid an attack. Black continues with d5, misdirecting white's attention, and provokes white to push the queen to h5, delivering a check. Black counters by advancing the g6 pawn. White capture on g6. Black recaptures with the rook on g6, and, tempted by greed, white captures the pawn on h7 to attack the rook. Black's queen moves to g5, protecting the rook and threatening to capture white's pawn on g2. Sensing danger, white plays g3 to defend, but fails to recognize the looming threat. Black immediately moves the rook to h6, starting a tactical assault to trap white's queen. Desperate, white sacrifices the queen by moving it to c7. Black pushes the bishop to d6, capturing the queen. The top spot in the top 5 best openings for black in 2024 is claimed by the Ponziani-Steinitz Gambit. This aggressive opening boasts an impressive 68% win rate for black, making it a formidable weapon against opponents who are unprepared for its intricacies. The gambit kicks off with white leaping their knight to g5, aiming to combine forces with the bishop to attack the f7 pawn, the weakest point in black's camp during the early game. Black sacrificing their knight on e4. If white greedily captures the f7 pawn with their knight, threatening a double attack on black's queen and rook, black swiftly counters by placing the queen on h4, delivering a direct threat of mate on f2. White, perhaps feeling secure, pushes the pawn to g3 to block the mate while counterattacking the queen. But black escalates the tension by sacrificing another knight on g3, lure white to capture the rook on h8 with the knight, believing they've gained significant material. However, instead of recapturing the rook on h1 or targeting the bishop on c4, black shocks white by swinging the queen to e4, delivering a decisive check. White hurriedly retreats the bishop to e2, attempting to shield the king. But black calmly captures the rook on h1, white drops the bishop back to f1 to block the attack, and black to finish the game with a stunning checkmate by capturing on f1 with bishop. White, left stunned, has no escape. And you? Which opening do you like the most? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.